I'm Pro D. You're watching Chicken Breast TV, and yes, I still have the mohawk, but today I got a headband on, and I just finished fasted morning cardio, so I got the big T on right now. Don't want to show off the goods. Anyway, guys, today is the Q&A video. If you guys follow my channel at all, then you would know that the 11.5 weeks out video, I asked you to leave your questions in the comment box below. Primarily bodybuilding questions, but also calisthenic questions or personal questions. And I left 2 status updates on my Facebook asking for your questions. And I'm going to get to all of them because luckily there's not 1,000 of them, so I'm going to be able to answer all of them. Hopefully this video isn't too lengthy, and hopefully those guys over there aren't too noisy, because I don't know why it takes 3 weeks to paint a studio, but that's what's going on over there. And yeah, guys, later I'm going to make a video about what I just talked about people not following my channel, not understanding things, but that's a different topic for a different day. And anyway, guys, let's get straight into this. All right, first question comes from Anthony Intensity. Wait, is this a question? All right, this is completely unedited and raw, so bear with me. Are you lose fat easier with low carbs or lower fat by your own experiences? All right, so that's the first question. Basically, I like to change my carbs more than I like to change my fat. I mean, my carbs will drop, generally speaking, from 300 and all the way down to 50 grams. Whereas my fat, I pretty much like to keep it between 75 and 40. So I move carbs around more, but I do move both. And my second question, how can you incorporate muscle up into my routine? Should I train them on lower body days or upper body days, starting with weighted pull-ups and chin-ups? Wait. I mean, I would start with basically what he's asking is, should he train muscle-ups on a lower body day or on an upper body day? And should he start with weighted exercises first before moving on to the explosive exercises? And I'm going to say that, I mean, if you're really trying to work on him, train him on a lower and an upper body day, but generally speaking, just train him on the upper body day. And I would train him, this is going to sound weird, but I would train him a little bit before and a little bit after, because you're not going to be very explosive after you do weighted pull-ups and weighted chin-ups. But because you're not going to be as explosive, if you're able to be explosive after the weighted exercises, it's really going to benefit you on a day where you're just hitting tricks. So the next question is Jason Morales. Where is Lauren? We broke up. Okay, I told you I'm answering all the questions. Come back Quatasta. I think I butchered that a little bit. And he's asking, what's your gear cycle? Okay, I'm very tempted to talk about what my gear cycle is for the show, for this show, but that content is going to be exclusive to the chickenbreasttv.com website that's under construction right now, and I'm going to post exclusive content on that website talking about gear, my gear, and my experiences and anything that I could share with you about gear. All right. But I wish I could talk about it in this video, but I can't. I just can't. Alright. Do a calisthenic gym ring workout, beginners to advanced, or some pulling or muscle up workout. Keep the great work, Pro D. I appreciate that. I always appreciate the positive comments, and I always ignore the negative comments, if you couldn't already tell. But yeah, I mean, if I do another ring workout, I'll definitely take that into consideration. However, I'm not really doing that many calisthenic videos anymore, guys. I'm really trying to switch this to a bodybuilding channel because, quite frankly, I don't do that many calisthenics anymore. So it wouldn't be fair if I would be preaching to you guys on how to do calisthenics when I myself am not practicing what I preach. So, how do you measure your rice? Cooked or uncooked? For example, 5 ounces cooked or raw. Okay, my rice varies every day. It just depends like how much water I could squeeze into the rice, basically. So I measure it uncooked. So I cook my rice so for example, right now I'm using 2 servings of rice a day. So I cook the 2 servings of rice, I weigh out what the 2 servings weigh, and then I split it into 2 meals since I'm eating the rice 2 times a day. So I weigh it uncooked. I have a question. I am shoulder dominant. It is hard for me to focus on pecs when doing pressure moves. I do retract scapula and arc back and other stuff. But even when I feel chest in some way, I'm fatigued on shoulder instead of chest. Should I do more fly exercises in order to grow my chest more so I can use it better than when I do bench press, because now it's lagging? Thanks for your answer in advance. Alright guys, so this is a tricky one because I also have this problem a lot of times. For example, when I'm benching or doing push-ups, I feel it a lot more in my shoulder. You need to make sure that you're using a weight that's appropriate for your strength level so you can really target the chest. Okay? Sometimes I find that when I go too heavy, or mainly I find that when I go too heavy, my body's going to find a way to lift that weight however it can, and generally engages or over engages my shoulder. It's a lot about squeezing the chest. That's what I found. It's totally form based, at least for me, and maybe for you because you have a very similar problem to me. Make sure that you're not pressing like this, but that you're pressing like this. You should see your chest rising, and you can practice it without any weight. Alright. Can I get big arms with calisthenics? Absolutely you can. Actually, calisthenics mainly targets arms. It also does back and chest, and of course you can do legs of it. You know I believe in that. But it does a lot of arms. I would say mostly anything close gripped. Okay, so chin-ups versus pull-ups. You know, narrow push-ups over wide push-ups, things like that. And if you use rings, you can do isolated exercises with them, which I have some videos of. What were your legs measurement when you only did calisthenic workouts? Honestly, I don't know, because it depends where you measure on the leg. Like if I'm measuring super high on my leg, then it's going to be totally different. And I gain and lose weight a lot, so it's really tough to say, but my legs are always pretty good. Okay, I train pull-ups for strength and muscle gain at the same time. I like this. 5 sets of wide pull-ups, 5 close pull-ups, 5 back pull-ups, 5 chin-ups, 7 reps for each. My question is, what do you think about it? Should I decrease the sets, increase the reps? That's the first question. So let me see here. 5 sets, 5 sets, 5 sets. Sets, so it's 20. Wait, no. Honestly, I found that with calisthenics, if you want to build muscle, you have to be willing to do high volume. A lot of times when I was training calisthenic only, I would be doing like 40 set workouts that would take me 2 hours, literally. And it was a little tedious, but it got the job done. And the rep range, you don't have to hit failure, but just make sure that you're hitting fatigue. And if for some reason your fatigue level is at like 20 or 30 reps, then slow down the reps, because I see a lot of people are like, I can do 30 pull-ups. Yeah, you can do 30 pull-ups in the same time that I do 5 pull-ups. So, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the volume is I would say is minimal. And the reps, like I said, you got to feel it out. As long as you're struggling, you'll be making gains. Same question for chest. I do 7 sets of 14 reps, 7 sets, that's on dips, 7 sets of 12 reps on bar dips, then push-up variation. Should I change that? Again, I would increase the volume of sets, the set volume, and the reps are fine, just make sure that you're doing them slow. And you should always be changing up your program regardless. Oh crap. Alright. This is a bodybuilding question. Why are you consuming 300 grams of protein per day? In the end, it turns into fat. If I'm not mistaken, I heard a rumor that if you consume a lot of protein with steroids while cutting, you don't actually lose any muscle. Is that false or right? Okay, I'm consuming 300 grams of protein a day because in the past I've consumed like 225, between 225 and 175, and I lost a lot of muscle doing that. Any calories will turn into fat. Protein, carbs, and fat, if you're not in a calorie deficit, if you're in a calorie surplus, your body will turn any of it into fat as a survival tactic. Okay, and you heard a rumor that consuming protein... I mean, yeah, when you're on... Protein increases your nitrogen retention, and protein has a nitrogen in it. Remember, it's an NCHO, a nitrogen, a carbon, a hydrogen, and an oxygen. So basically, you're going to be able to retain, store, use, absorb, whatever you want to say, more protein when you're on steroids, depending how many steroids you're on, what amount of steroids, the duration that you use of steroids, your genetics, and things like that. So yeah, you can consume a lot more protein when you're on steroids, and in fact you must consume a lot more protein when you're on steroids, because if you're taking steroids and if you're not taking steroids and you're eating 200 grams of protein a day, and then you take steroids and you're eating 200 grams of protein a day, and what's the point of taking the steroids if one of the best benefits of, let's say, a testosterone is that it increases the nitrogen retention, your ability to absorb protein. And remember that protein is muscle, because muscle tissue is protein tissue. And you'll still lose muscle on steroids when you're dieting, just not nearly as much. That's why it's actually interesting. That's why you'll see a lot of guys that diet naturally, and they look considerably smaller by the end of their diets. They look like a different person. Whereas a lot of transformation pictures where you see a guy go from like chubby to really shredded, but he looks bigger. He didn't get bigger, but he didn't lose any muscle. So if you're not losing any muscle when you're dieting, you're going to end up looking bigger at the end of the diet than you did in the beginning. There's a question. There's a continuation to this question, but I can't seem to read it. Let me see. Yeah, I can't. It says, no, question number 2, while lean bulking, when should I adjust my calories? For example, let's say I maintain 3,100 calories and start bulking. At first I'll add 100 calories, but when should I, and then I can't see the rest. When should you, wait, let me try this. Yeah, I got it. Alright. At first I'll add 100 calories, but when should I adjust and add more calories each week with how much? Alright, that's really going to depend on you, because every physical body is so different. Now, I can give you like a rule of thumb to try, and then from there you're going to have to build your own program. If you're maintaining weight at 3,100 calories, you can, depending on how much patience you have, the slower you do it, the better. I would change things. I would say 100 every 2 weeks, and that's even a little not conservative, but maybe like 50 per week, or 100 every 3 weeks if you're really patient. But again, you're just gonna have to take it slow, and you're gonna have to see like what type of weight you're gaining. Basically, the concept of the lean bulk is that your body needs the food to recover, and that first it's going to use the food to recover, and then it's not going to have enough calories after that to be stored as fat, thus you have the lean bulk. Okay. That's all the questions on the video. Now we're moving to the questions on Facebook. There's not that many, so we're almost done here, guys. Bear with me. There's a fucking fly here. Alright. Can one build muscle using suspension type training? Absolutely. I think that the one issue with suspension training is that it's going to require a lot of stability, and if you're going to need to focus on stability, you can't necessarily focus on squeezing that muscle that well and contracting that muscle hard because your body's multitasking. But on the other hand, the benefit of suspension training, if you're a calisthenic dude, is that you can really isolate a lot and do a lot with, let's say, rings. Like you can't do curls with a bar or with a dip bar. You can't do tricep extensions with a bar or a dip bar. But if you're using rings, you can lower those rings and press them and curl them, so you can really target a muscle that way. But again, your body's multitasking because it's focusing on stability. Is there any supplement you recommend for a 45-year-old female to build muscle faster than normal? Actually, this is really interesting because women respond very differently to supplements and gear than guys. Okay? If a guy takes a little testosterone, he might gain a couple of pounds here and there. Maybe that's a little bit of an understatement. If a girl takes it, she's just going to be jacked. Okay, that's why. Besides the fact that it makes them masculine looking, like the top bodybuilding women, I always said to myself, I don't know that this is 100% true, but I'd imagine it wouldn't be that hard to be a jacked female if you were willing to fuck up your face. Anyway, my point is that if a guy takes Tribulus, which is a natural testosterone booster, nothing's going to happen. Okay, maybe his testosterone will increase a fraction of what it is because we have such high testosterone naturally anyway in comparison to a woman. If a woman takes a Tribulus and her testosterone raises even a little bit from it, she's going to be seeing a lot of result. I mean, the steroids that women take are the weakest ones, like Anavar, Primobolan, Winstrol. I know girls that take peptides and they just get jacked. I mean, if I took a peptide, it probably wouldn't even be worth the money. I wouldn't even see a difference. But as far as natural supplements, if that's what you're asking, then basically any natural or herbal test booster in a supplement store you could try. I wouldn't recommend those chemically ones because they're pretty much just steroids. They just they're pro hormones. They convert into an actual steroid in the body, which could not result well. But if you're looking for a gray area in supplements, then peptides is something to look into because they're not necessarily legal, but they're a little bit, gray markety. So anyway, that was a cool question. How do you build muscle and maintain muscle with a 3-day circuit since you are not hitting every day? I'm not on a 3-day circuit. I train cardio 6 days a week and I hit weights 5 days a week. But if you are on a 3-day circuit, I believe you're talking about a 3-day training split, then you really want to make sure that if your exercise days are limited, how many days a week you exercise, that you're hitting it really hard and it's going to take a while to recover. So basically, I'm going to tell you guys a little story. When I first started working out, I could only work out once a week. That's all I was allowed. And maybe I'll make a video getting into the details of the story, but not today. But yeah, long story short, I was only allowed to work out once a week, sorry. And I worked out my whole body and I grew like a fucking weed. All I did was, I was like 15 or 16 by the way. All I did was I did a 2-hour workout once a week, and I loved working out and I knew I was only allowed to do it once a week, so I just smashed it. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get back to the intensity that I had when I was in that situation. So you just need to make sure that you're intense. And actually I might make a video about that story because it's a cool story. The story of how I started working out. Alright, so I think we have one more question here, let me see. And the last question from my buddy Keith is it best to hit abs 2 days a week hard or a little extra in the warm-up every workout? I would say it's better to hit abs 2 days a week hard because I don't know where people get this idea, but they think you can do abs every day. Why? Maybe you want to do abs every day because you want abs, and for some reason somebody's like, I want to have a six-pack and nothing else, and they found a way to justify hitting abs every day, and then they're not seeing results, and then they're like, "Fuck this," and then they quit working out, and then they just say that it's genetics. But no, abs need time to recover, just like any other muscle. It's a muscle tissue. It needs time to recover, and if it doesn't need time to recover, it's because you're not hitting it hard enough. And if you're not hitting it hard enough, that's not going to stimulate growth. So twice a week hard over every day, definitely. All right, for muscle building, I'm Pro D. You're watching Chicken Breast TV. Thanks for watching the second Q&A, and stay tuned. Later.